India accidentally created the perfect conditions for fire, and it's not a compliment. This video is not motivational. It's not patriotic and it's definitely not feel good. Over the last few weeks, I have been digging into cost structures, taxes, labor economics, career longevity, and quality of life data, comparing India with the West. And the conclusion is uncomfortable. FIRE, financial independence, retire early, actually makes more sense in India than in developed countries. Not because India is better, but because the system gives workers a worse deal. Let me explain. India is cheap because Indian labor is cheap. Let's start with the obvious advantage people love to gloss over. Yes, India is cheaper, but it's not cheaper because of efficiency or innovation. It's cheaper because human labor is underpriced. Domestic help, whether it's your maid or it's your cook, caregivers, drivers, maintenance services, all cost a fraction of what they do in the US or Europe. That directly collapses or shrinks your fire number. Think about this one. Would fire still work if everyone was paid fairly? Wage differentials between India and developed economies are often 5 to 10 times for comparable serviceables. Fire math is expense driven. Lower expenses equal to lower required corpus. Here's the insight: India's fire advantage disappears the moment wages normalize. That alone tells you this is not a prosperity story, it's a pricing distortion. And now comes the part most people underestimate: taxes. Indians pay high taxes and get almost nothing back. Here's where fire in India stops being optional and starts becoming logical. If you're a salaried professional in India, you pay income tax up to 30%. You pay GST on almost everything you consume. You still need private healthcare. You still need private retirement planning, and you still need emergency buffers for everything. Compare that to the West. Higher taxes, yes, but also unemployment insurance, healthcare safety nets, and pensions. In India, you self fund every risk. So, fire becomes rational because if the state won't protect you later, you must protect yourself earlier. India spends, think about it, this is the fact. India spends 2%, just 2% of GDP on public healthcare versus roughly around 8% minimum in OECD countries. There is no universal pension system for private sector workers. So, fire in India isn't freedom, it's an early exit from a tax heavy, benefit light kind of an arrangement. Corporate careers in India break earlier. This is something people don't like admitting. In many Western countries, careers they peak much later in life. Skill compounding lasts much longer. There is ageism, yes, but there are safety nets which soften the blow. In India, ageism starts early. Middle management is overcrowded. Salary growth flattens while responsibilities continue to increase. Job security drops sharply after your late 30s or early 40s. So the rational strategy becomes earn aggressively early, build independence fast, reduce dependency on corporate income. Informal employment, contract roles, and layoffs are structurally common in India. This is a known fact. And long, stable 40-year-old corporate careers are very rare outside just a few sectors. Fire in India is not about retiring early. It is about not being forced out late with absolutely no leverage. Now let's talk about quality of life. The part GDP numbers don't show. India's GDP numbers look impressive, but daily life in Indian cities tell a totally different story. Longer commutes, worse traffic, higher pollution, overloaded infrastructure, and rising private healthcare costs. Economic growth has not translated into proportional improvements in how work feels or how our life flows. Fire becomes attractive not because people want luxury, but because they want control over time and location. Indian metro cities consistently rank poorly on air quality and urban livability indices. WHO air quality limits are exceeded multiple times over in major cities. So people don't chase fire in India to enjoy life, they chase it to reduce friction, stress, and exposure. Fire works in India because the system offloads risk onto you. So let's connect the dots here. So, why does fire work in India? Fire works in India because labor is cheap, taxes don't buy you any security, careers peak relatively early, quality of life erodes faster, and the system pushes long-term risk onto individuals. Once you see this, fire stops looking like an extreme step and starts looking like basic risk management. In the West, fire is rebellion against work. In India, fire is insurance against instability. If you disagree, don't argue emotionally. Comment. Which assumption here do you think is wrong? Subscribe if you want analysis without sugarcoating. Fire in India is not about dreams, it's about math, incentives, and system design. If that bothers you, good. That means you're actually thinking. See you next time.